more. So there you go. And that's just super important to leave your cropping spaces whenever you are editing. And I actually even do it when I shoot. Okay, all right guys, so we're at our next scene. So we're just going to follow that process again. If you don't want to follow the process, you can always kind of eye it up. Like this particular one, I can tell the exposure's pretty good, but I might want to turn down my highlights and turn up my shadows. And kind of deliver that warmness. Kind of just a pre-crop. This one's not going to need too much of a vignette because we already kind of have a dark background. But just a teeny bit of a one. Another thing I use a lot is whenever I'm doing a little pre-cropping, this tool, you can always make sure someone's centered at the photo. If that's the effect that you want to do, if you want them centered, you can use this little tool just so you know that you're centered. I use that a lot, actually. All right, next one, we're going to edit this one all on its own. We just have one picture in the road. Pretty easy. Well, let's not forget that vibrance, though. I'm sorry, the saturation. Just turn those greens up a little bit. So, I mean, as you can see, I'm not spending a tremendous amount of time whenever I'm editing these. What we're doing is creating the proof for your customer. Everybody has their own specific taste, so whenever you have the customer in front of you, and your software that you use to present to them, you might be able to, if they want the picture a little warmer, you might be able to do it there. If they want it a little cooler, cool it down in front of them, add vignettes, things like that. And I'm saying that because something you do not want to do is just, now granted you're going to have some customers that do request this, but try not to just throw the pictures on a CD or a link and have them download them. And that's something we'll be into in later tutorials about how to get around that. But if you just give your customer some raw pictures and they download them, they might not understand, why did I shoot it further away? I want this closer. However, if you do a viewing session and have them in front of you, you can kind of go over all of those cropping and show them things that you can do with the picture, where when you're giving them a download link or the picture's on a CD or however you do it, you're just really giving them raw copies and depending on them to figure the rest out all on their own, and they might not know. Or they might think they know, but they might be doing something that makes your pictures look not necessarily the way you shot them. And I'll tell you something that happened to us when we first opened the studio, while I'm doing my editing here, is we didn't know this either. I was giving people the raw copies and just letting them do with them what they wanted to. And I had a gentleman come in one day with some of his pictures that he printed. It's, I'm not going to name names, but he printed them at some local pharmacies, some local retail stores, and the prints looked really bad, let me tell you. They were bad. Some of them looked really orange, some of them looked pink, and he was a little upset with me and thought that I didn't deliver him what I was supposed to. And we still had our own, we already had our own printers at this time, but this was kind of before we were educating people on not all print qualities are the same. So I pulled his session and I printed one of his pictures and I showed him our print, and then I showed him the prints that he had got, you know, paid maybe $1 a print for, or $2 a print. However, when he saw that quality, he's like, yeah, I see what's going on. And And then after that, whenever I started showing all of my customers that, that's when a lot of them just opted, hey, I'm going to print them here. If I'm going to have nice pictures taken, I want them to look right when we print them. So that's always something to keep in mind too. And if you're not going to do your own printing, just outsource it to a lab that has quality prints. So just try your best. Just don't hand your customer a link or a flash drive or a CD and say just print them yourselves, because you're not doing them any favors, and you're not doing any favors for your work either. But also pay close attention to when you're shooting. If you shoot most of your pictures at the exposure that you're going to deliver them, your editing process shouldn't be all that long and painful. And after you've been doing it a while, you'll just know when you get out there what the correct settings are. But if I have any doubt, I always take a test shot. Because see how I had my exposure correct here and just how quickly this is going. Because editing time is where a lot of the photographers just get bogged down, and that's where they really feel like they get behind. So I'm hoping I'm hoping you can take this back to your computer, and maybe the whole process works for you, or maybe you find bits and pieces that work for you. But I want you to take back something that's going to help you just get through the editing process a little bit quicker, and gain some time with your family, maybe gain some time to take on more shoots because you've condensed your editing process where it's much quicker now. Okay, one thing I want to show you here too. So let me reset this. All three of these photos, they were kind of shot in the same ratio. See that? So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to crop one of them in. I'm going to sync the other two to where they automatically crop. This is when I'm going to check mark lens correction, transform, and crop. And see how it brings those three pictures in, just the way the other ones are. Not quite centered, so I'm just going to fix that up really quick. And see how that saved me, even just 10 seconds here and there. That's going to really add up whenever you're working on your editing time. I'll be honest with you, most of this I'm eyeing up. That auto key is a great starting point. Sometimes I feel like it makes these things a little too bright or a little too contrasty for my taste. So I'm just kind of wanting you to just watch everything I'm doing here. Now, like I said, it's a great starting point if you're brand new. After you get your style down, you won't have to resort to that quite as much. two were near the same scenery. I knew it was going to be just a tiny different, but I went ahead and synced it, like I said, just to kind of save myself some editing time, and the white balance was the only thing that needed adjusted there. So see how quickly I had 4 pictures edited right there. I made a little mistake on that one. I forgot to add my vignette, but as soon as I synced them, I could tell something was off. That little vignette that you don't want to look like a vignette just really, really helps your subject pop out a little bit from the background. You don't want it to look flat. This is another situation that I'm going to sync my lens correction, transform, and crop because they were all shot about the same. And when you get your process down that works best for you, you'll find that when you're out shooting, you're thinking about the post-end. What can I do here to make my post-production a little bit quicker and easier? I mean, that photo's missing something. It just needs a little contrast. Be really careful with your contrast, though. If your contrast is too hard, their skin's going to look pretty rough in a print. So you don't want it up. You just want it up enough to kind of help your color pop a little bit more.